Mac, anytime you can get a finish like that, doesn't matter what two teams are playing, that is the good stuff. That is the unfiltered NFL that we come to every single Sunday. This season has given us more games decided by 7 or fewer points than we've ever seen. Through week 8, we were looking at 67. We had a whole handful of them here in week 9 as well. But this is different. Overtime, walk-off touchdown. You got a team that's now looking at a 500 record after things were really spotty there through the first month of the season. What does this win do for LA?
Everything is on the table right now for the Rams. You look at the Rams, and I must inform you guys, if you weren't watching the game from start to finish, Puka Nacua got ejected. So they found a way to win this ball game without their star offensive player in Puka Nacua. But this Rams team, they're thriving at the most important time. They're getting healthier. The defense, the young studs they drafted are playing like veterans. Matthew Stafford, that play 60 arm is still warmed up. Cooper Kupp is doing Kupp-like things. Kyren Williams is doing Kyren Williams-like things. And this is a team that you have to monitor, because I can tell you this much. The luxury the Rams have at their disposal, Joe, is that the NFC West is super confusing. We don't know which direction to go. One week you might take San Francisco. Another week you might take the Arizona Cardinals. Who knows? But with all of that being said, guess who's lurking out there on the beach under the palm trees? It's the Los Angeles Rams. And I can tell you this much. This is the wrong team you want to spar with. Because if you're not careful, you will be lying on the canvas.
We said it, haves and have-nots. You got a quarterback, you got a chance, you don't, you don't. After victories, Matthew Stafford, now 46 game-winning drives orchestrated in his already decorated career. That's tied for 6th most in the history of this game. 46 alongside our colleague Matt Ryan. The only names above that in terms of game-winning drives led: Marino, Roethlisberger, Breeze, Manning, Brady. That's rarefied air when the game counts the most. When it is on the line and you need a drive, few in the history of this game have been better.
Can we please give Sean McVay his proper flowers? I understand he's been to 2 Super Bowls, he's won 1. But looking at what he did last year, getting that team to the playoffs, right, with a lot of guys at that time we didn't know anything about. We learned more about them throughout the season, but to start the season back in 2023, no one knew what Kyren Williams was going to give you. No one knew about Puka Nacua. But under his coaching, those guys flourished to be big-time playmakers. This season, came into the season, you lost Puka Nacua week 1 against Detroit, right, in the first half. He's gone. You eventually lose Cooper Kupp. Still, you found ways to weather the storm with a bunch of players at that time who we didn't really know what to expect. And guess what? At this point, they are in the playoff conversation. That man can coach ball. I understand he flirted with the idea of leaving the sidelines and getting in the studio. No, your place is on the sideline, McVay. You were born to coach. You love it. You're great at it. Keep doing what you're doing. Because for this team to be as competitive as they've been, with a lot of young, unknown pieces, that's coaching at its finest. Every year, he's losing significant coaches from his staff. You got a new DC, it doesn't matter. Same production. You lose an OC, it doesn't matter. Same production. This is a guy that has done more with less, and he's doing so in a consistent way. You can look throughout the entire National Football League, and you will find a coach coaching in the NFL that came from Sean McVay.
You won't get any pushback from me. That is a tree that already at his young age...
The man is good at coaching.
He certainly is. He's good at developing players. He's good at developing other coaches. He's good at putting his team in a position to win. And here it's a win in the division against a Seahawks team, Mac, that started this season 3-0.
Yep.
And they lost that first game. And I asked you and Ryan Wilson, I believe it was a primetime spot.
You're going to bring this up every week, Joe.
I asked you and Ryan Wilson if this team was going to finish the season above 500.
I gave you your credit.
No credit.
There's still a lot of ball left to be played.
Tons of football to be played. They are 1-5 since starting 3-0. Where are you seeing the issues, and do you see a playoff team? When you look at the grand picture of the NFC playoffs, in the West, you're likely going to have to win that division. This is a massive result in the effort to do that.
The issue for Seattle, especially in today's matchup, Geno Smith, he can't start late. You know,
red zone interceptions.
Yeah, red zone interceptions will put you in position to lose. You can't have those things surface. And not to mention red zone interceptions. We saw interception, the Rams return for a touchdown.
Yeah.
They took points off the scoreboard and scored. That's a 14-point swing.
Swings.
That's a 14-point swing. So these are things you can't keep allowing to follow you, right? With Geno, he got things going through 3 touchdowns, but you couldn't get out of the way of those 3 interceptions. So for Geno, you got to be better in protecting the football, because if you don't protect the football, I mean, it's going to be a long, long day. And his last 2 ball games, 4 interceptions. You know what I mean? So he has to be smarter with the football. They ran the football more today.
Did.
That's a plus, because that was an issue.
This is the 29th ranked rushing offense coming into this week, just 89 yards per game. They go 100+ in this game, a little more balanced. Geno only attempts 34 passes. I say only because we were touching the 50s there earlier in the season. What's the proper identity for this team? Do you have to insulate Geno with some more run? Or
yes, you have to. Now, they need to get healthy on the defensive side, because you talked about that 3-0 start. During that start, their defense, they were together. They're missing some key components, and clearly the production has dropped off. So they got to find a way to get healthy, because Mike McDonald became the head coach in Seattle because of his coaching defense with the Baltimore Ravens. We haven't seen anything that we saw in Baltimore. We haven't seen anything that we saw in the first 3 games of the season. So something has been off defensively that has allowed holes on all 3 levels on the defensive side for opposing offenses to exploit. So they got a lot of things going on. But remember what I said earlier. The NFC West is as confusing as an algebra problem in the 2nd grade. You don't know.
2nd grade algebra, it's tough.
Yes, it's tough. High school algebra is tough.
We're not ready for this.
You don't know. So even though they've had some ugly losses, they had some good wins. Remember, a few weeks ago, they went to Atlanta, came back out swag surfing, right? So they've had some ugly losses, but this is a talented team. They just got to find a way to weather the storm and put together a nice bowl of consistency.
Now, this is probably a team that feels like they're playing whack-a-mole. You identify the problem. It's run defense, and it's running the football. 29th in the league coming in both of those aspects.
It's not good.
They're better in both aspects in this game. They run it for 100+, and they hold LA to...
still lost.
They hold LA to 68 yards in the running game, and you still lose.
3 interceptions, 1 return for a touchdown.
Therein lies
the great Dick LeBeau gave us the numbers before analytics became a thing. He said when a defense or special teams for that said team scores a touchdown, you have 85% chance to win ball games.
Old school analytics.
Old school analytics. I don't know where he came up with those numbers, but I don't question anything Coach LeBeau told us. I'm riding with that. So to your point, you talked about the favoritism that we saw with the stats. They ran the football better. They played better defense against the run. They threw the football better. They played better defense against the pass. But you still lost because of the turnovers, and one of those turnovers was returned for 7 points. Remember, that was a 14-point swing because they were in scoring range when that happened.
You now have 3 teams clearly above the one who's sitting below with the Seahawks loss here in that division.
Yeah.
In one word here, Matt, because we got some other things to get to here, I'm told, in one word, who's got their nose out in front in this race in the West right now?
The Rams.
The Rams.
I trust the Rams more.
More than the 49ers?
Yes.
More than an Arizona team that just slapped Chicago?
Yes,
the Rams?
because I trust Sean McVay. Okay. Sean McVay is the best coach in that division.
Okay.
He's able to do more with less. And remember, they didn't have Puka Nacua. Remember how good that offense looked against the Vikings, who we're getting ready to see tonight, with Puka Nacua. So if he has a collective arsenal of players, I trust Sean McVay.
What I fear is a Rams.
Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong, but I do fear a Rams team that oftentimes can't figure out the 49ers. They do take the first matchup this season, but in that head-to-head between premier coaches, unless it's the playoffs, the favor has been...
I understand they played against the 49ers early in the year without Christian McCaffrey, but heck, they didn't have some of their stars. And remember, the San Francisco 49ers squandered away a double-digit lead in the second half. Sean McVay, through his coaching and through his execution, through his players, they found a way to win that ball game. And one thing I know about Sean McVay, he's not afraid of any team in his division, with a healthy roster or not. They find ways to win, so they already have the upper hand on San Francisco. And then when it comes to Arizona, you know, it can be a tongue-in-cheek type situation. But if you're telling me I had to pick one to come out, if all the chips on the table and everyone is healthy, I got to take Sean McVay.
What a story that would be. You lose both of your top receivers for extended amounts of time. You lose an all-world middle piece on that defense.
We're forgetting about that.
To retire.
Yes, we're forgetting about Aaron Donald.
You lose a whole bunch of games to start the season.
You traded away one of your best linebackers.
Surging in the right direction. LA alive and well.
Sean McVay can coach ball. He's really good at it.
To week 10 of the NFL. You might even end up on that payroll by the end of the day.
Yeah, I know ball. I love recognizing good ball.
And this was great stuff. This was Matthew Stafford doing exactly what he was asked to do with the game on the line. Now, as you said, a team that took advantage of giveaways, even turned one into 6. But LA, in a far different place than they were some 3 weeks ago.